Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today into John 19.142.
It's going to be a good one.
It is. This passage details the crucifixion and burial of Jesus.
Yeah.
Now, I've got to say, I've read it many times before, but there's just something about reading it aloud, really pronouncing each word that
Brings it to life.
it does. It brings a whole new dimension to the story.
Yeah.
It's an experience I think is impactful for
Oh, yeah,
both adults and children.
definitely. It's almost as if when you speak the words aloud, you're engaging a different part of your brain.
Yeah,
And you connect with the text on a deeper level. It's powerful.
it is.
And I think it's beneficial for all ages.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. It's like having a personal tutor
Yeah.
right there with you, explaining this incredible story, making even those complex concepts
Yeah.
crystal clear.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, let's jump right into the passage.
Okay.
It starts with Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor. John 19.4, he says, I find no fault in him.
Interesting. No fault.
Yeah. What do you think was going through Pilate's mind at that moment?
Well, there's got to be some internal struggle going on there. I mean,
Right.
was he truly convinced of Jesus's innocence, or was he, just trying to appease those Jewish leaders while also protecting himself
Right.
politically?
Interesting.
It's fascinating because the text kind of leaves it open to interpretation.
Yeah, it does.
Well-
Yeah. And then, of course, we have the crowd. They're just relentlessly chanting, crucify him.
It's powerful imagery.
Oh, it is. And it's a chilling reminder of mob mentality, how quickly emotions can escalate
Oh, yeah.
and things can really spiral out of control. Do you think Pilate felt trapped by that pressure?
Absolutely. I mean, just imagine the scene. A massive crowd,
Oh, yeah.
fueled by anger, religious fervor, demanding the death of this man.
Yeah.
It would have been incredibly difficult for Pilate to resist that kind of pressure.
Yeah.
Especially, considering the political climate at the time. I mean, he was walking a tightrope,
Absolutely.
trying to maintain order, keep the peace, while also appeasing both the Jewish leaders and the Roman authorities.
Right. Talk about a tough spot.
No kidding.
And it makes you think about times in our own lives
Yeah.
where, we feel that pressure to conform, to go along with the crowd, even when our conscience is telling us something completely different.
Yeah, exactly. And I think,
Yeah.
it's interesting how John includes those details, like the crown of thorns,
Oh, yeah.
the purple robe. I
Right.
mean, those are more than just physical torture.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they represent the mockery Jesus endured
Yeah.
for challenging the status quo,
Yeah.
for claiming to be king of the Jews.
Right.
And it's a
Wow.
theme that resonates throughout history,
Absolutely.
sadly, even in our own time.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. So the scene is set, the tension is palpable, and we finally arrive at Golgotha, the place of the skull. What's the significance of that location in the context of the crucifixion?
So Golgotha, it was likely a well-known execution site just outside the city walls, grim place, a very visual reminder of
Yeah.
death and judgment. But the fact that Jesus,
Right.
the one proclaimed king of the Jews,
Right.
is crucified at this place of death,
Yeah.
it adds another layer of meaning, right?
It does.
It's like the setting itself
Yeah.
becomes a character in the story, foreshadowing the triumph of life over death,
Wow.
the redemption that will unfold.
Okay. And speaking of foreshadowing,
Yeah.
that inscription on the cross, Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews, written in Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. It's almost like a cosmic billboard
Yeah, it is.
declaring Jesus' identity for all to see. But why the three languages?
I think that's brilliant. Think about it.
Yeah.
You've got Hebrew for the Jewish people, Greek for the wider Roman world, and then Latin,
Right.
the language of official Roman administration.
Okay. John is subtly highlighting the universality of Jesus' message.
Okay.
The fact that his kingship transcends national and linguistic boundaries.
It's like this silent but powerful declaration that echoes
Exactly.
through time, reaching
Yeah.
people from all walks of life.
All walks of life, yeah.
Wow. And amidst all this drama, all this intensity, John doesn't shy away from the human element. He mentions Jesus' thirst, the soldiers dividing his garments, even his concern for his mother.
Yeah.
I mean, they seem like ordinary, everyday details, but they add so much depth.
Oh, they do. They do. Because we see Jesus,
Yeah.
experiencing basic human needs, human emotions,
Yeah.
even in the face of unimaginable suffering.
Right.
And it reminds us that he wasn't this distant,
Mm.
untouchable figure,
Right.
He was fully human,
Yeah.
fully present in that moment.
Yeah.
His sacrifice wasn't some abstract theological concept. It
Right.
was a real event,
Yeah.
experienced by a real person. It's those moments of vulnerability, I think, that make this story so relatable,
I agree.
so powerful. And then, amidst all the chaos, we see the fulfillment of Old Testament prophecies. The piercing of Jesus' side, the unbroken bones. Back to Scripture.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
crucial because it establishes a continuity between the Old and New Testaments.
Right.
By highlighting those fulfilled prophecies, John's demonstrating that Jesus' death wasn't random.
Yeah.
It was a preordained event woven into the very fabric of God's plan.
Okay. So we've got political intrigue, mob mentality, a cosmic declaration of kingship.
It's a lot.
It is. And then the fulfillment of ancient prophecies. And then, in the midst of all of that, two unexpected figures step forward. Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus.
Yeah.
They provide a proper burial for Jesus. What's their significance in all this?
Well, these two men were initially hesitant to publicly acknowledge Jesus, probably afraid of jeopardizing their social standing. Now they bravely step forward, risking their reputations to honor him in death.
Wow.
That's a powerful testament to the transformative power of faith.
Yeah.
How it can embolden us to act, even when it seems risky or unpopular.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most courageous acts happen in the quietest moments, away from the crowds and all the clamor.
Yeah.
Now, John could have just said Jesus was buried,
Right.
but he gives us specific details. The myrrh, the aloes, the linen cloths. Why? What's the purpose of those details?
Well, those details, they ground the story in its cultural context. Jewish burial customs were very specific.
Right.
By adhering to them, Joseph and Nicodemus were showing profound respect for Jesus and his Jewish heritage. And for us, I think those details serve as sensory cues, almost like we can smell the myrrh, feel the weight of the linen.
It's like we're right there.
Yeah, we're transported back in time.
Makes the story come alive.
Absolutely.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground already.
Yeah, we have.
So let's take a quick pause here.
Okay.
And we'll be back in a moment to explore even more fascinating insights from John 19.
Sounds good. It's amazing, isn't it, how just like those little details, the spices, the linens, can really transport you back in time.
Yeah. It's like you can almost smell the myrrh, feel the weight of that linen.
It's powerful.
It really is.
And it makes me think about what we were talking about earlier, just engaging with the passage aloud, pronouncing each word.
It's powerful.
It is. When we slow down and really listen to those words, something shifts, It's like we're right there experiencing it alongside those characters, feeling their emotions, grappling with those dilemmas.
Right.
It becomes so much more than just a historical account. It's a living, breathing narrative.
It really does. It's like we're stepping into the story ourselves.
Exactly.
Instead of just, passively observing from a distance.
Yeah. And that's why I think reading aloud, taking the time to pronounce each word can unlock so much understanding, especially for children.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like having a personal tutor.
Yeah.
Making the story come alive, explaining those complex concepts in a way that's engaging and memorable.
I love that personal tutor analogy.
Yeah.
So as we delve deeper into John 19, what stands out to you as like the most crucial takeaway for our listeners?
Well, at its heart, I think John 19 is a story about love and sacrifice. It's a profound depiction of God's love for humanity, a love so deep, so unwavering, that he was willing to send his son to die for us.
It's a love that defies human logic.
It does.
A love that embraces suffering and death for the sake of others.
Exactly. And that brings us to the heart of Jesus's mission,
Okay.
He could have avoided the cross.
Right.
He could have chosen an easier path, but he didn't. He chose to embrace that suffering, embrace death.
Yeah.
So that we could have life, both now and eternally.
It's mind-boggling when you really stop to think about it.
It is.
How do we even begin to grasp the magnitude of that sacrifice?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
The question that's echoed through the centuries.
Right.
And I think it starts with recognizing our own need for redemption. We're broken, flawed individuals. We can't save ourselves.
Right.
We need someone outside of ourselves to step in, to bridge that gap between us and God.
And that's where Jesus comes in.
Yes.
He's that bridge, that mediator.
Right.
The one who makes reconciliation with God possible.
Exactly. But it's not just about accepting this gift intellectually. It's about allowing that love to transform us, to change the way we live.
Yeah.
To motivate us to act, to love others as he loved us.
It's a call to action.
Yeah,
An invitation to participate in this story of redemption. Not just as passive observers, but as active agents of love and grace.
I love that.
It makes me think of John 15, where Jesus talks about, the vine and the branches. He says, I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever remains in me and I in him will bear much fruit, because apart from me, you can do nothing.
Such a beautiful image of connection and dependence. It speaks to that vital relationship we have with Christ. We're not meant to go it alone.
No.
It's through him, through abiding in him,
Yeah.
that we find our true purpose,
Right.
our meaning.
It's like we're drawing life and nourishment from the vine,
Yeah.
allowing his love to flow through us, empowering us to bear fruit.
And that fruit isn't just about, doing good deeds.
Right.
It's about cultivating the character of Christ within us. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness,
Yeah.
goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Becoming more like him.
That's a tall order.
It is.
It's a lifelong journey.
It is.
It requires surrender, humility,
Yeah.
a willingness to let go of our selfish desires.
It's a process of sanctification.
Yeah.
Becoming more and more like Christ each day.
Right.
It's not always easy. It's not always comfortable.
Right.
But it's a journey worth taking.
Absolutely.
Because it leads to true freedom
Yeah.
and fulfillment.
And as we're on this journey, as we're, trying to become more like Christ, I keep coming back to that inscription on the cross,
Yeah.
written in those 3 languages.
It's for everyone.
It is. It's a reminder that this message, the message of the gospel, is for everyone,
Absolutely. A universal invitation to experience God's love and grace.
Yeah. So as we continue to reflect on John 19, how can our listeners practically engage with this message today?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think find a quiet place where you can be alone with your thoughts, take out your Bible, open it to John 19, and read the passage aloud.
Yeah.
Slowly, deliberately.
Yeah.
As you're reading, imagine yourself there, present at the scene. What emotions are stirring up within you?
Right. Sadness, gratitude, awe.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And what details stand out to you? And what did those details reveal about Jesus?
Yeah.
About his character, his mission?
And how does this story challenge you to live differently?
Yeah, that's a good one. How can you allow his love to transform your thoughts, your actions, your relationships?
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
But remember, this is just the beginning of the conversation. John 19, it's a passage we can revisit again and again.
Oh, yeah.
Always finding new insights,
Absolutely.
new challenges. We'll be back in a moment to wrap up our deep dive with some final thoughts and some encouragements. And we're back for our final thoughts on this deep dive into John 19. I don't know about you, but reflecting on Jesus' crucifixion and burial, I'm always just in awe.
Yeah, it's such a powerful passage.
It is. And I think what makes it so impactful is how it just resonates with us on so many levels. We see the historical events unfold, the politics, those raw human emotions, and ultimately God's plan of salvation being realized.
It really is like a tapestry, weaving together all these threads of history and theology and human experience.
Yeah. And that tapestry continues to speak to us today, centuries later.
Oh, absolutely. It does. And I think a key takeaway, a reminder for us, is that even in the darkest moments, when all hope seems lost, God is still working.
Yeah, there's always that glimmer of hope, right? That promise of redemption, even in the face of death.
Exactly. That's why John 19 isn't just a story about death, It's
Right.
a story about life.
Yeah.
About the triumph of love over hate, of light over darkness, of life over death.
It changes everything. And I think that's what we need to carry with us as we, go back into our everyday lives. This story, this hope, this love, this power.
It's not just something we read in a book, right?
Right.
It's a reality that shapes our lives, our relationships, our very being.
It is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, any final thoughts you'd like to leave our listeners with? Something to ponder.
Well, just consider this. How does understanding the historical and cultural context of John 19 deepen your appreciation of Jesus' sacrifice? What new insights have you gained from slowing down, really listening to the words, letting them resonate within you?
That's a great question. And, I would add to that, don't just read it once and put it aside.
Yeah.
Come back to it. Read it again and again. Maybe read it aloud with your family or friends. Let it wash over you and
Yeah.
speak to your heart. You might be surprised by what you discover.
Absolutely. It's a story that never gets old.
It doesn't.
A story that continues to reveal new depths of meaning and challenges us to live lives worthy of the sacrifice that was made for us.
It does. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into John 19.142. It's been an incredible conversation.
It has.
Until next time, keep diving deep.